Hello, my stamping friends. My name is Holly Peterson, and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And today I am going to show you this double angled gatefold card. Used a belly band, and then it's a gatefold, but they're angled in two different places. So I'm going to show you just exactly how we did this. I'm going to leave that off there for a minute. I am using the Fern and Flora bundle, and I've tried a couple of different things with my stamps. Now, the thick plastic that the stamps are on, when I get it, I flip it over, and then I outline the image with a permanent marker so that then I know where they go back on the sheet and if I have any missing. I also like to store my dies on a magnetic sheet. And today, I've already done some die cutting. We're going to use this fern. I think this is a fiddlehead, and then this from the dies here. Oh, plus we're going to need that. The paper that we're using is the Moonlight Flora. And this bundle and paper is back in stock, but the embellishments that we're using, the dewdrop embellishments, those are unavailable right now, and they are expected back in the warehouse the week of July 27th. But you could use any embellishments that you have. Okay, let's bring in our supplies. This piece is for the envelope, and I did not measure it. It is 6 by 2 1/4. And that's for the flap on our envelope. We have Secret C cardstock, 11 by 5 1/2. And I'll go over the scoring and the cutting on that in just a minute. We have 2 pieces of Moonlit Flora that measure 3 1/8 by 5 1/4. The belly band is soft seafoam, 9 1/2 by 1 1/2. We have Old Olive that measures 4 by 5 1/4. Basic White, 1 1/4 by 2 1/2. Soft Seafoam, 3 1/2 by 4 3/4. And then these I've already die cut. So Berry Burst, you need a piece about 1 by 2 1/2. Peaceful Pine, 1 1/2 by 3. Old Olive, 1 1/2 by 4. And then we have another piece of the Moonlit Flora designer paper, 4 by 1 1/4. So let's set all this aside. I'm going to go ahead and do our stamping first. So there's this frame outline. We're going to stamp that in Mossy Meadow. I'm going to use my Pierce mat. You get, with these photopolymer stamp sets, you do get a better image if you have a little bit of cushion underneath the stamp. So we'll just stamp that in the middle. And then the words are, "You're an amazing friend." We're going to stamp that in Secret C. I love Secret C. Such a nice color. And then that'll go just right in the middle here. And then I'm going to bring in my mini cut and emboss machine. And there is a coordinating die for this label. And I am going to tape this down. And I find with my mini cut and emboss machine, if I make the center layer not even with the base, and then the top layer make it even with the base, it engages and goes through so much easier. Okay, this is just some old washi tape, and I just stick it on my machine so that I can use it over and over again. Okay, so we have that. Put this back on my dies so that I don't lose it. I like these new envelopes. The flaps close so much easier than the old ones did. Okay, let's do our card base. So on my note here, I show that we scored at 3 3/8 from each end. So I've already done that. I've scored here and here. And then we're going to, let's see, I think it goes this way. So you're going to do from the top right and the top left corners, you're going to measure down 1.5 inches and make a mark. So I've made a mark there and a mark there. And then from the outer corners, you're going to measure in 1 inch and make a mark on both sides. I'll leave that there for just a sec. We'll bring in our paper trimmer then. This mark here is going to go in our cutting guide, and this score line. And then you're going to cut. You don't need this triangle. And then you're going to cut from this mark to this mark. So you'll line both of those up in the cutting tray. And we don't need that piece. We're going to do the same thing over here. We're going to line up the score line and our tick mark in that cutting tray. And then we're going to go from this tick mark to this point. Okay, so there we have our card base. I'm going to set that aside because now we'll need to do our designer paper. So on the right side, you're going to measure down 1.5 inches and in 1 inch. Yeah. and you're going to save these cut off triangles. So I don't think I've measured this one. So let me get my white gel pen. This paper is hard to see, so I'm going to measure down 1.5. And then in 1 inch. Okay, so we're going to cut from this point to that mark. This time we're going to save those triangles. And then from this mark to this point. Okay. And then this one we're going to do from the left edge. We're going to measure down 1.5 and in 1 inch. So we're going to go down 1.5. And in 1 inch. Okay, so we're going to go from this corner here to our mark. We'll save those corners as well. And then we're going to go from this corner down to this mark. And we're going to save that corner. Okay, I think that's it for our trimmer. So now if we've done that right, these will layer nice in here. Looks like I have some fuzzy here. Maybe it's time to change my trimming, my blade. Okay. So I do see my pencil marks there. So I just have an eraser here. I'm just gonna erase those. I don't want to see those on my card. Okay. So I'm going to take some seal, and I like to use seal. I go back and forth between seal and liquid glue. And if your tape runner doesn't start right away, you can use your silicone mat and get it started, and then it behaves a lot nicer on your paper. So we'll just layer this here. We'll do the same on the other side. And then if you get a little bit of glue on your mat, you just rub it off. It doesn't stick to the silicone mat, which is really great. could have fold and burnished those, but we'll go ahead and do that now. I still have a little bit of fuzz here. And then with this card, it doesn't matter if it goes left over right or right over left. It's whatever you like. Okay. Bring my card back in here so we can see what we're doing. So on our old olive piece, we're going to take one of these larger triangles. Now this one, if it would go in this corner, I have it over here in that corner. So if we use that one, nope, I want this one here and this one here. Okay, so we'll put some adhesive on here. And then just give this a little bit of an edge there. We're going to stamp on our soft sea foam. And again, we're using Secret Sea ink. And this one says, "You make the world a better place." So I'm going to come down a little bit because I don't want it to show out the top of my card when it's folded. Okay. And then this other triangle is going to go on this layer. And again, just a little bit of a border on the bottom and the side there. And then this can go on the ends on our old olive. Oops, I knew I was getting close on tape. So whenever you refill your tape dispenser, you want to just make sure that you clean all the excess glue off of the opening here on both pieces. That'll help the tape runner go a lot smoother for you. Okay, then we just line this up with these little holes here and snap it back together. We'll just center that there. And now that can go on the inside of our card. For my belly band, I don't score my piece for my belly band. Once I have all my layers on here, I just put one end kind of in the center, and then I bend it over. I make sure that I get it straight, and then I reinforce that with my bone folder. And with a belly band, you don't want it too tight, but you don't want it too loose either. So I just gently fold that over. Even it up a little bit. Reinforce it. And with this, I'm going to use liquid glue. Let's see if this one behaves today. I'm going to put it on the top end. Let me grab a different glue. So you're going to put it on the top of the one end and the bottom of the other end. Okay, and then this piece of designer paper goes over the middle here. We'll slide that on our card. Come on. So I got this one a little tight. I think once you use it, it loosens up a little bit. And I like the seam in the front because I know I'm going to cover it with my greenery. So we're going to kind of arrange our greenery the way we like them. Oops, I got a little piece that needs to come out there. And I like this precision glue gun. I do just have our Tombow liquid glue in there, but it makes getting a nice fine line of glue. Okay. So like I said, we're going to cover our seam, and we don't want to glue, we only want to make sure our glue is on our belly band. So I'm going to just glue in the middle here. And then I'm going to pop this up on dimensionals. I think I am going to use small dimensionals. And I'm not going to put any in the middle since this will be going over that. And then we'll just Center that there. And then the final touch will be, oh, we still have our envelope. We're going to add some of these embellishments. And on my original card, I used the Knight of Navy. Which I think I'm going to use the clear ones this time. And then for our envelope, I'm going to just put a thin bead of glue along the edges. And then we'll just flip it over and trim off the excess. And then for the outside of the first one, I used one of the leaves, the ferns. We're going to use a different one for this one. And I'm using the new Peaceful Pine. These ink pads are magnetic and they just open from the side like that. Right now we only have the 5 in colors with this new ink format or ink pad format. And with these new ink pads, you definitely want to walk your stamp across the pad. I like to give it a little twist as well. And then we'll just stamp that down. And I think on this one, I'm just going to do the one. And there we have 2 Fun Fold Gatefold cards. I really appreciate you stopping by and watching my video today. If you've liked my video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Bye for now.